Welcome to live chat. Hey, Milo. Oh, so we are actually live.
Yeah.
Why is this?
I don't know. Maybe it's waiting until 6.
Yeah.
Did you set it?
So we went live. We're watching it on her phone. There we go. So we're watching it on her phone, but recording it on my phone. So we're like kind of looking back and forth, just to make sure.
Yeah.
There we go. All right.
Oh, that's weird. I'm gonna make not watch that.
Yep. So we'll kind of just wait for people to chime in, chime on.
Oh, perfect. Thanks, YouTube.
Cheers, Friday night. We've got Milo behind the scenes.
Whoa. Hi.
He's got my phone in one hand and he's got a tape measure in the other. So I guess he's been working on the bus as well. Let me see. Where's the chat?
Live chat?
Yep, live chat.
Yeah, live chat.
What up, Mr.
What?
Mark Wilson? Milo, you can't have the beer.
You shocked?
So we're gonna hang out for a little bit and see who else jumps on. We have a couple of questions that people have asked. People that have asked that recently, and then people that have also asked it when we did our backward purpose trip, like the first one with the FJ.
Yeah.
So we have never done this before. We've never actually done a Q&A, and a lot of the questions we got were kind of repetitive. So we're just gonna give it a heads up for everybody else. So,
Whoop, whoop.
Mark Wilson, where are you from?
Whoa. Here. Look, Doodle.
You got all your fancy toys, dude. Is it off?
Yeah.
Distracting a kid with a quiet toy. Solid.
Dude, you gotta do something. Hanging out with us. Hey, upstate New York?
Fantastic. We didn't get to spend a whole lot of time upstate.
No.
We were
a little traumatized with Canada, so we kind of blitzed through.
Yeah, we like hung out in Buffalo for like an hour and a half, and it was like 12 degrees outside. So I feel like we have a good understanding of what Buffalo is. And we like jumped right across the border to visit Niagara Falls for the day. And crossing the border was quite the treat. Yeah, I'm curious to never do that again.
You're curious to never do that again?
It's like if you ever feel like you're doing something wrong. Oh, very cool.
Walking plan.
So we'll jump into a couple of these questions because we don't have a whole lot of time. Of course, we have a 10-month-old, so we try to like schedule everything out accordingly. So we're gonna jump into a couple of these questions already.
Ah, we turned it on. Sorry, side note. I turned off the toy so you guys wouldn't hear it.
Just our kid's a genius. So that'll bring us to our first question, and I apologize if that's kind of being in and out, but we are still parents to a 10-month-old, so it is what it is. It's part of the game. But like I said, that brings us to our first question.
Brings us to the first question.
Yeah.
Sorry.
How are you doing this with the baby? This is exactly how we're doing this with the baby. He's got his toys, he's got his distractions, and anything that he might enjoy that won't won't hurt him. Like I said, right now he's got a tape measure in one hand and a phone case in the other.
Yeah.
While looking at a toy, so it's part of the game.
Kids first. Yes, you are right.
But it is a little difficult. We did think that we were going to kind of be able to tag team this bus
a lot
together.
More. Yeah.
But it is just kind of flip-flopping. Like today, I watched Milo for a good portion of it, and then she was outside cleaning off the windows. So it is kind of like a combination between the both.
Yeah, we switched roles. You were Mr. Mom today.
Yes, I was Mr. Mom today. That's kind of how I greeted her outside.
Baby backpack and all. But yeah, no, it's just kind of how we're doing it with the baby. It's just pausing, getting stuff done when we can. A lot of things are being done at night too. So research, anything that's not too noisy for the neighbors and things like that, which is a big part of why we're technically almost 2 months in
Yeah.
of converting the bus when that was kind of the goal altogether to have the bus done. But I mean, hey, you gotta roll with it.
So, and it also kind of works out too, because one of the part that takes this whole project really long for us is because we're constantly filming everything.
Yeah.
Like anything I'm trying to do, I've got to, like all those little short shots that you guys are seeing, from the drill going into the screw to the screw coming out to me walking away. Every other time I'm like having to set up the camera, and that's just me trying to create the best kind of production I possibly can.
Yeah.
So when she comes out with Milo, she can hold one camera and the other. So any shots you see of me, 9 times out of 10, it's because she's behind the scenes doing it, and vice versa.
True. Milo on my hip and all.
Yeah.
So
And we bought this baby backpack from Target that was like $30, and I think it's definitely earned its keep. I actually washed the Miata today with Milo on my chest.
I was actually really shocked by that.
Yep.
Good job.
Do what you got to do.
Yeah, we kind of got competitive there for a minute and was like, "Here, you step into my shoes and
Yeah.
I step into yours."
That's exactly what happened.
And he bawled out. He came out and washed the car. I know that's why you did that.
Yeah.
Okay, so next question. What was your favorite state from your travels? We get this question a lot, actually, when people meet us on the street.
And let's give a little bit of a backstory. If for those of you who are just following us because of the bus stuff, 2 years ago we ended up selling our house, quitting our jobs, and the goal was to do 49 states in 52 weeks. We ended up doing 44 states in 10 months.
Yeah.
It was month 9 that we actually found out we were pregnant with Milo, so it was pretty exciting. So we did everywhere except for North Dakota, South Dakota,
Yeah.
Minnesota,
Alaska.
Alaska, Wisconsin,
Hawaii.
and Hawaii. Hey, Big Sky. Hope you're having a good night, man.
Hi.
So, and our answers are different and for different reasons. So what was your favorite state?
That's a good question. I mean,
There's different reasons behind it. Like
Right.
collectively,
I
like
think
into the future, like collectively, we like North Carolina the best.
right, and that's just our favorite state from like a practical standpoint.
Like
We
a
love it.
family standpoint too.
He's from Virginia Beach. I'm from Tennessee, so it's like mountains meets water. North Carolina provides both of that for us, so that's why we love it for the most part.
Yeah.
But I think our favorite, as far as like trip adventure, like man, that was awesome. I'm gonna say Michigan. What are you gonna say?
Michigan's my favorite too. Michigan and Utah.
Utah.
And those are for different reasons, and I'll get to those in just a second. A couple of questions that we just got to ask is, it's not a rear engine international. It is a front engine. It's FE300 international. And when we drive the bus, do we put the pedal all the way down? Yes. It's all or nothing.
It is all or nothing.
Yeah, and it's kind of fun because like I'm trying to figure out at that point where it'll downshift and like you can feel that power. But even though I've put, I think like all in all like 1,100 miles on it, 1,000 of which was the day we got it. I'm still trying to figure out where like that power band is with the turbo and all that stuff. So it is fun.
What
was that
So, Mr. Wilson, that's awesome. I hope you're able to get a bus soon and travel. It's going to be so much fun whenever you make that happen. But we will, it says, are we going to be living in the bus or only doing it for vacation? So this is actually going to be our like full-time residence. That's kind of also why it's taking us so long, because we're nitpicking the little details as far as making sure that it's sound and things. Oh, hi. Can you wave? Say hi. There you go. So yeah, it will actually be our full time. This is gonna be home.
Yep. And we're planning to do it for the next 3 to 5 years. Probably once this guy gets a little more grown and like goes into school and stuff.
Yeah.
We're not opposed to homeschooling, but just to have like a solid foundation for him and friends and family and such. It is an Allison transmission. I don't know what model, but it's a 2004 or 2005 International FE300, 35 feet long. So, and as far as the states go, our favorite was Michigan. And I think for me, it was because Michigan, like nobody ever talks about Michigan in like a positive manner.
No.
They always talk about it as like Detroit and Flint, and those two
Yeah,
go hand in hand for being the same
Can we do
as
it?
far as like not being like travel destinations. But so aside from those two cities, once you get past Flint and you start driving, I think it's like Highway 22 up along the coast, it just blows you out of this water just because you don't have any preconceived ideas behind it. Like one thing that I found that was interesting during the traveling was anytime we get to a location, we had this mindset or this picture already painted in our heads of what it was supposed to look like. Um, and those are edited photos and edited videos that just makes things so glorious and all in all. So with Michigan, we just had nothing nothing to prepare ourselves for what we were going to see. So
Yeah, that's a good point.
let's see what this question is. We're trying to. There it goes. Okay.
Does it have overdrive? What's your top speed paddle or pedal to the metal?
Pedal to the metal for sure. Top speed. It has a governor, and it's like 65.
Yeah.
And one thing I didn't really understand is 65 like is no matter what, and I could be at a wicked inside at like 45 degrees, and it's only going to go 65 miles an hour.
I've made it to 65 too, by the way. Woo-hoo.
Yeah, the first day she drove the bus, which you guys, the video, of course, is on there.
It says, my passion is semi trucks and school buses, so I want my first car to be a bus. I'm only 13, so a few more years till I can drive. Oh,
Dude, that's
congratulations!
awesome. I wish
That's a great goal.
Yeah.
My goal was just to be able to drive a stick shift. So go you for making it big. Jeez, that's awesome.
Her sister's fiance is actually a semi driver. He just got a CDO not too long ago, and it's crazy how many jobs are available for that kind of market. It is fun. Like one thing I didn't really understand was when you're driving down the interstate in a bus, being level with all the semi truck drivers. Like it's not something that's normal by any means. Yes, we can post a video of you driving the bus.
Yeah, and we kind of already did. There was a clip of me literally braking for the very first time, and I braked, not realizing how sensitive but not sensitive they are, and Caleb almost flew through the window because he was trying to film that.
Air brakes are intense.
Man. They are intense. I underestimated it when he said
for a bus that weighs like 30,000 pounds, like it stops pretty darn fast.
It does. Whoops. But yeah, we can do another one though. Okay. Well, the next question would be, I think we've got everybody. Any faster than that, and it gets a little scary. We'll have to take your word for it.
That is very true. 65 like is pretty sketchy. I couldn't imagine like some of these guys say they put like bigger tires in the back or whatnot, or take the governor off and go like 70, 80 miles an hour. And I'm like, that's a lot. Like these things are not aerodynamic by any means.
Yeah.
So the next question was, how did we meet?
So how did we meet?
I'm proud of our story, and it goes back to like my grandparents. Like they met in middle school, and for us, we weren't right there, but we actually met in 9th grade English class in high schough, and we were best friends throughout high school and started dating senior prom.
Yeah.
You right, dude?
So we're 26 now, so we've been together for about 12 years.
Yeah.
We were friends.
Feels like forever.
Rude.
But it's great. It's great.
We were friends first. So we met when we were 14 and then stayed friends and started dating when we were 18.
Yep.
So. And
then we dated for 3 years, and then we got engaged, and we were engaged for a year. And now we're coming up on our 5th year anniversary, which is wicked cool.
Dog. Why school bus instead of an RV?
So the answer behind that is pretty self-explanatory. It's two main factors, one of which is the price. All in all, this thing, a lot of people say that $20,000 is pretty realistic for where they're at. And like for me, I feel like that's high for everything that's working into it, and all the work and stuff is like, I will literally suffer for the next 12 hours to figure out something so I don't have to pay somebody to do it. I'm just that kind of guy. And then also I will search on Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace all the time until I find the right deal. For instance, all the installation that we got for our vehicle or for the bus so far, which I think it's going to be enough. It's like 20 panels. We got 20 panels of high density rigid foam. That's like an 1.5 inches thick. We only spent $7 on it off Craigslist. And the same goes for our oven. Only cost $50. Yesterday, I asked the guy that's doing a renovation on a like community care center, and I asked him if we could just dumpster dive, and we just got
a ton of wood.
Yeah, we got like eight pieces of plywood and a whole bunch of 2x4s and just stuff we can use. So it's going to be a lot cheaper for us. So that's the goal. That was a big reason. But then the other reason is, from what the gentleman just said, is the bus is just a lot safer.
Yeah, it's a lot more sound. When you walk through the RVs, I mean, you sneeze and the whole thing shakes. And it's practical, I think, for vacation use. Like when people use it for vacations and that few times a year, I think it's great. But it's something that literally is going to be our home for a couple of years. At least that's the plan.
Yeah.
We just felt better doing the school bus conversions. Not to mention, they're awesome. What we see and what we have seen,
What people can make, man.
yeah, I'm like so stoked. We just had a lot more freedom to do exactly what we wanted from the very beginning, and that seemed a lot more fun for us from a home standpoint. So that's a big reason why we chose a bus.
And to build it exactly how we wanted it. And like she said, I mean, it's just, if you literally, and we did this multiple times. We went to Camping World USA or RV World or whatever it's called, and we would walk through all the trailers. We'd walk around from the ones that were $20,000 brand new to $350,000 brand new, and they all just feel,
I mean,
cheap.
technically they feel the same.
Yeah, I mean, they're just not very solid pieces of equipment that we would want to invest all of our money into.
So the next question is, are we doing a roof rise? We're actually not. We're pretty short people.
I'm like a solid 5'8", being generous.
Yeah, like with like certain dress shoes, and I'm 5'4", so it's just not necessary with us. So we just didn't think it was a cost that was something that we wanted to do right now.
And I think our bus is like, as far as like the standard buses go, I think ours is a little bit taller than some other ones. Like the first one we ever looked at, I didn't actually measure it, but it just, like when you walked in, it just felt shorter, and it was the same size. Like I think it was like 35 feet or something. So ours is right at like, I think 6'2", from where the like the support structures are that you can see in the pictures. And we're gonna try to keep that as legitimate as possible. Excuse me. We're not gonna try to add any depth to it. The foam that we have is 1.5 inches thick. Those bars are 1.5 inches thick. So I think I'm just gonna tack it back up to those ribs and kind of keep it with the factory height. But geez, Mark, 6'6", like I feel for you, because I've seen some of these investments that people do with these roof raises, and they look awesome.
Wow, you're 6'6".
Like they
What's
look.
that like?
Yeah, I know.
I'm so
We were talking about that
short.
the other day. Like walking through like your average door. Like I feel like that's just like a little room for.
I
for
know, that's
air.
amazing though.
Um,
And we would love to. I think eventually down the road, if we were to do this again, I think we would like to do a roof rise maybe.
Yeah.
Especially if we're not going to be traveling as much, but as of right now. The next question I think we got was, how much was the bus? We found it. Is that okay?
No, yeah, that's like I want to be as open as possible, because the whole goal behind this is to make people live the lives that they want to live. And there's a misconception that if you want to have like this fun nomadic travel lifestyle, that you have to have a bunch of money to be able to afford it. And I want to share it as much as this bus is going to cost us, and the sacrifices that we made, and the ways that we did it. Like I said, with searching Craigslist all the time. So the bus, that's the only thing that I haven't felt 100% confident with, like the price and the deal. And it was just getting kind of like down to the wire, like trying to find something. I was searching all the time. It's a 2004 or 5. I think it's a 2005. It's an International FE300, so it's got the DT466 engine. It's got 190,000 miles on it, and we got it up in Newark, New Jersey, and I got it for $4,000. So I don't feel like it's a terrible deal. It's got a little bit more rust than I thought when I bought it.
A little bit more.
But definitely not as bad as some of the stories we've seen. So I was still kind of grateful for that. And it's all of it's stuff that we can fix. And I've actually fixed the floors for nothing aside from buying a welder, because I used the sheet metal out of the seats that were in it to patch the floors. And then we just did some core seal to convert all the rust. So I have seen people get much better deals. I bought it basically through Craigslist. This guy that buys buses all the time and buys them at auctions and then flips them for a little bit of profit. And he was getting out of the game and decided to sell it for a little bit cheaper. He normally sold it for like $6,500. I definitely wouldn't have paid that. We were trying to stay around the $2,500 to $3,000 mark, but all in all, we're $4,000 in, and I think it's a pretty solid bus. So I mean, I drove it 1,000 miles home, and the only reason it died is because the fuel gauge didn't work, and I ran out of fuel, like literally a quarter mile from the next gas station. Like I could hear it. Like I could hear all the people at the gas station. But whatever.
We bought the bus in New Jersey.
Guy named Jim. Guy named Jim from a guy named, and we met a guy named John. Jim and John in Jim is in Atlanta, and like I said, he buys and sells buses, but he's getting out of the game. And then John basically works for the school district maintaining the buses. So
And
let's see where we're at. Thanks, Ricardo. That makes me feel better.
and Mark, you are right. I think the bus is kind of becoming a trend, maybe a little bit, and I think that you're right as far as the bus prices are getting higher because of demand. Let's see. Oh my gosh, Big Sky PC, you are correct. When I came out and he was tackling that, I about had a heart attack. I was like, oh my gosh.
Like looking at the wiring panel, it is pretty, like it's very intimidating. Like it looks like a headache. But all in all, like all I really did was I looked at the lights that I didn't want, and I started tracing them back. And you're right, it is kind of ballsy to just like snip the wires, but I would snip one, and then I would start this vehicle or start the bus. So anytime I'd cut something that I think might enable it from starting, I went ahead and started it. That way, if it did not start, then I know exactly what I just cut, and I can splice it back together.
Sorry, baby.
Yeah, we have a 10-month-old.
Come here, Doodle.
So yeah, I mean, I did just cut the wires and then start the bus to make sure it started. If it didn't start, then I knew what I could fix. And if it didn't start, then I was just going to leave it alone because I did not want to figure out what works and what does not work to make this vehicle start. And fortunately for us, with the emergency doors exits, the bus would still start with those open, so I didn't have to worry about cutting those out. I know some people kind of have a bigger headache than that, so we should trailer a yellow FJ behind it. I agree, we should trailer a yellow FJ behind it. If we still had our FJ and the bus, dude, like, we would make some epic videos.
Heart happy right there. And then I think I saw a question if we had a dog. We used to have a dog. And my dad actually watched him for us for a little over a year while we were traveling because we didn't actually bring, his name was Ace. We didn't bring Ace with us on our road trip in the FJ. There was just not really a whole lot of space once we packed in all of our suitcase and shoes and living things. And we just didn't feel like we were going to be able to take him on this journey either. So we decided to find a good home, permanent home for him.
Yeah, it just wasn't fair for him. So it really sucked. I mean, we got engaged in May of 2014. Then we bought a dog in June, and then we bought a house in September. So like that was a very iconic year for us, and a lot happened in Milo, or not Milo. Ace had been there from the beginning, so it is kind of a bummer. But there's the idea to get a dog, a smaller dog, one that doesn't shed. So we'll see how that goes. It's still kind of up in the air. So we'll see how that, we'll see.
And that is, Mr. Wilson, that's actually something we've learned about not having, it says no book value. We've actually learned that. Like, it's kind of like a slippery slope as far as how all that works.
What was the question?
He wasn't really asking anything. It just says there's no book value, so that's why buses can become higher because there's not like a Kelley Blue Book.
Yeah. There's no standard for like what's a good deal and what's not. So.
And JP, keep your head up. I mean, seriously, obviously save, but buses are being retired all the time. So apparently school buses have to be retired like every 15 years.
Yeah, depending on the school district, it's between every 10 to 15 years. Some are 20. One thing I wish I would have done before is I'm on like a bunch of school bus conversions like Facebook pages, and they post buses for sale all the time, like in different areas. Like people that are tired of like trying to convert it and like are quitting and just want to get rid of it. or some people that have found a really good deal and just trying to share it for other people. Is that lawnmower like terrible?
Yeah, it's super loud because it's kind of a joke every time we
Yeah.
start filming, which I know we've been filming now for 25 minutes, but it seems like every time we're filming, someone wants to cut their grass. But that's okay. What are your guys planning school-wise once your kids grow? That's actually another very popular question. We are open to homeschooling, and we are hoping we're open to homeschooling, but originally the idea was to do this until Milo was going to be entering kindergarten, and we would be transitioning like a year before he turned 5. We would transition to a home base is kind of still the idea, but that's kind of the plan right now. So Big Sky, yep, Southern accent, Nashville, Tennessee, born and raised. No. I try to hide it, I'll be honest. I try to hide it, but some words come out pretty thick.
It's also funny too because like depending like when we're back in town.
Sorry guys. Let us know if it's too loud.
It does. It definitely comes out more than often.
Oh, and I'm sorry. I'm Emily, and this is Caleb. I just realized we're on our back road videos, so.
Oh yeah, nobody actually knows who we are.
Yeah, Emily and Caleb, and the little baby is Milo.
Yep. We have a lot more like personal content on our Instagram, so if you guys want to follow that, we kind of post more often on there, of course, just because it's a lot easier to do. And we're still trying to figure out the whole work-life balance. I mean, this is like work-life is our life kind of a thing, so. Yeah, AAA in Arizona, they have a bunch of good buses. I actually contacted them about a couple of them. They were more than I wanted to spend, but I probably wouldn't have dealt with the headache of the rest if I would have just bought it from there. But pros and cons to everything.
Absolutely.
But let's see, one of the other questions we had.
Oh, are we going to be using, or are we going to be adding a toilet or a shower? Yes. Yes. And yes.
Yep. The goal was to do like kind of like a full bath, but one of the things that we really wanted to plan out was we wanted to have as much roam space for Milo as possible, just because we are going to be in this thing full time. And he is in the development stage of a toddler, so he is going to have a lot of energy.
Yeah, he's already walking, so.
Yeah, so we wanted to give as much free space as possible, and he's got like a good 25-foot stretch out of the 30 feet available to just run around. So we are pretty excited about that. So we're gonna do like a wet bath. It's kind of like your typical RV bathroom. The toilet and the shower are kind of gonna be in one. As far as baths for Milo, I'm going to try to engineer some kind of bathtub in there. I'm not sure yet because the awkwardness behind stepping into a tub while trying to use the restroom, which might be a little weird. But we did just find a wicked good deal on a sink, and it's really deep. I think it's like 9 or 10 inches deep, so plenty deep enough for him. And big enough for him.
Yeah,
it's actually
25 inches wide.
Yep, and it was only $10.
Yeah.
Thank you, Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah, and I'm seeing a little bit of the conversations that's happening. JP about importing the bus, I totally get it, but with the buses getting more popular, it might become more available. So keep your heads up. Seriously, it definitely might change. And then the next question was, let's see. Oh, are we nervous that how this is going to affect Milo being traveling all the time? But
sorry, there's like a fine line between like maintaining a conversation and also reading conversations that are happening and like
we're trying to multitask.
Yeah, so we're trying our best here, guys.
But no, yeah. Are we nervous about how this is going to affect Milo? I don't think so. I think if anything, the effect is not necessarily negative. I think it's going to be great. He's going to be able to travel and meet different kinds of people. We got exposed to so many different type of cultures, and of course we're going to be as safe as possible about it. We're not going to be foolish and park in sketchy areas or things like that.
Yeah.
But we definitely learned a lot from the trip, and that's actually why we wanted to do this with Milo, because even though he's so young, I think that he mentally is such a sponge. So I think that this is like a great time to expose them to all new kinds and different people.
Which kind of brings us to our next question, or one of our questions was, are we taking the bus out of the country? Yes.
I mean, we're not opposed to it.
Yeah, I mean, primarily Canada. We're still, you always hear good and bad things about Mexico. That's just kind of something when it comes to that time, I'm not opposed to it. Just like what you hear on the news, I mean, it's all bad, 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 and you're going to hear the negative behind it. So, but we're kind of the people that want to experience things firsthand, of course, trying to be as safe as possible. So we're not going to voluntarily put ourselves in any unsafe situations.
No.
We will be driving up through Canada just because it looks epic. And then one of her bucket places to go is Nova Scotia.
Yeah, that would be cool. I forgot about that. I forgot about that being out of country anyways.
Yep, so, and it's pretty close that we're going to be able to do it, but for the most part, we're really just going to stay on North America, and then definitely trek this thing up to Alaska.
That was Caleb's dream. That was his like one thing, and we were planning on it, and we got, I mean, the best surprise ever, but we got pregnant.
Yeah, like out of all the places we wanted to visit on our trip with the FJ, hers was Waco, Texas.
Fixer upper.
And mine was Alaska.
Yeah.
And we went to Waco, Texas twice.
Yeah.
But
and I mean, a lot of people give us a hard time. They're like, do you not know what causes having children? But we were actually told we couldn't have children when we started on this trip. So, you know, like we just didn't think that that was something we necessarily needed to worry about yet.
Yeah. So, but we'll definitely hit Alaska, and it's fun now because we get to bring another person with us. So. You have mechanical ability to do your own engine? Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I'm a very big DIY kind of guy, and it's primarily because I'm a cheap guy. I don't like paying people to do something that they have figured out to do because I can figure out how to do it myself. So I will literally suffer for the next 5 to 10, 20 hours to figure out something, because at the end of the day, it just brings more value to me, and so I can help other people. So I am going to do all the vehicle maintenance myself. Thank goodness we have YouTube and Google that all the information I would possibly need is accessible. And it's actually fun too because we're doing a school bus conversion, a lot of the people are pretty intrigued by it, so they just open arms with like warm hearts and are willing to kind of lend their knowledge and lend their hand to help us out. Like today I stopped by the local school district school bus maintenance place and got some windows for the bus, got a back door for the bus, and some other stuff. So they just voluntarily gave it to us. So it's just fun.
That's hilarious. Someone said you guys should wrap this bus in Trump 2020 or Biden 2020 graphics and get politicians to pay your gas. Listen,
that is a solid idea.
It is a solid idea, but talk about safety. I do not think right now choosing a political side very largely on our bus is going to be the ideal for safety right now.
Sometimes people are a little dramatic, but that's here nor there. But
yeah, which I mean, it's a sensitive subject. It's totally fine. That's just not something. But that's a very clever idea. I never thought about that, especially with it being 2020. Gosh, in a few months.
Where are we headed first? So that's kind of to be determined. We have the only deadline we have, or thing that we have on our agenda as far as places to be, is one of her friends got her tickets to a what was it? One Tree Hill TV show reunion, and it's in Newborn, North Carolina, which is a wicked cool place. Very excited to go back there, and that's in February.
I'm so excited.
So if this bus is not finished by February, then I was definitely not working hard enough. So
yeah,
that's the main goal right now. But that just happened.
At least now you know it causes kids. You're right.
That is true.
Lesson learned. Check. And are you planning on any RV park stays, and how do you plan to deal with RV parks that like to reject school buses? Honestly, I'd be fine with that. I don't love RV parks, so that would be kind of like a last resort thing. Go ahead.
I think one thing that we kind of have on that benefits us with our previous travels with the FJ is we're really good at finding campsites and stuff now. There's just a couple of really good apps that I've learned about, and understanding the different types of campsites,
yeah,
and what they are, like the private ones versus the state ones versus the national ones, national forests, state parks, national parks, all the differences in how they actually work. So I'm not really concerned about finding a place to stay. And even with boondocking, that's not really like we just have experience with understanding where those places are. And a couple of the really good apps for you is WikiCamps USA. They have a bunch of great locations, and they've also got iOverlander, which the majority of people know about. And then there's also a thing called Harvest Host. So
How's Milo? Caleb Michael is helping me build a PC. Oh, hi.
hey, very cool.
Milo's great. He's walking and has 6 teeth. And I mean, just all the things he's jumped into, just everything development wise. It's so fun to watch him grow and reach all of those things. So,
Hey, Ricardo, thanks for hanging out. We totally understand, and it is kind of like semi-ballsy, I guess, but it's just us. There's pros and cons between everything in life, and it's understanding your values and what you want to do and what you have to do to be able to get those things.
not to mention, I will say I give so much credit for people who are jumping into this with children for the first time. I think a lot of it, we look at it really differently just because we, as a married couple who didn't have children, decided to go on the road full time and sell our home. And so we've already dwindled everything down and kind of gotten used to that lifestyle, if you will, without children. So now it's just like, oh, we can just add a baby. Like it kind of seems easier in our mind. But I think if you were to start from scratch with children, I think that would be a little overwhelming in my mind. So I definitely give a lot of credit for those people. And I mean, in general, but just with that, I mean, a lot of people are like, oh, how are you going to do this with children? But
Yep.
and then
When are you wanting to have the bus done? The goal was the end of October, and as you can see, it's just not playing out that way, which is totally okay. We're very fortunate enough to be able to stay with her mom, my mother-in-law, out here in Tennessee while we're working on the bus. They're doing everything and above to take care of us. It's pretty awesome. So very excited about that. So I'm just trying to get it done as quickly as possible. But with that being said, we're also trying to develop some good of what needs to be done and how to do it. So
at least the way we're doing it.
yeah, and we're kind of covering the majority of the bases for the basics, and filling in all those gaps from the information that's not already on the internet. So
Let's see. Where's here? This is, your name is Techno Geek. Yeah, where's here for next Passover? If it's with our family that's in Philadelphia.
There's a very good possibility.
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to have this bus to be able to, because the thing is I grew up with all of my family being in Tennessee. His family's just kind of a little bit of everywhere, and so that was another reason why we really love this idea, because we want Milo to be with all of our family as much as possible. So that was a big part of also why we do this. So I hope so. Oh, New Jersey. Okay. Oh, it's Jaron.
Oh, hey man.
Hi, Jaron. But yeah, so yeah, I think so. We're gonna try to be there for Passover.
So I think that kind of wraps it up for tonight. It was a lot more fun than I anticipated.
Yeah, I could keep going. I love this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of like we enjoy engaging in conversation with people, and this is the best way that we can do this right now, especially we're out kind of in the boonies of Tennessee, kind of far from civilization, but it's totally fun, it's totally fine.
Have we figured yours out?
What exactly are you talking about? What do you mean, Mr. Mark? But so we're definitely gonna wrap this up in just a minute. I'd say let's give it about 3 more minutes, and we'll kind of call it a night. Milo is getting tired and hungry, so we've got our responsibilities, of course.
Dinner time. We can actually end it with this question while we're waiting for that response. It says, what would you do differently so far? Like, what are the top things that you have learned with converting the bus? I think patience.
Definitely patience. I'd say that's a big key. And then, as far as like, I was always trying to find the faster route of doing something, so I was trying things multiple different ways. For instance, getting the seats out, I spent some time under the bus and her inside the bus trying to get the bolts done. When all in all, from the beginning, I should have just grinded off the heads and saved myself like 4 hours. With the windows, it is just kind of, excuse me, it is just giving a yank here and there just to make sure everything's loose. Instead of trying to do stuff differently, I'd say just kind of figure out what is working for you and just stick that out, because the majority of the time that's just going to be the fastest route. What's up, dude?
The other thing I learned is don't be afraid to learn from your mistakes. Like, I think a lot of times when people video, they do a lot of things to make it look perfect. And that's great. Like, you definitely want to learn this, learn from other people. But when you get out there to actually do it, you're like, oh, okay, this is going to be simple because they made it look simple. And then you realize, oh, I've got to make these certain mistakes to get to how they got to those perfections. I love you too, bud.
And then, yeah, I mean, the other thing too is, aside from trying to be different, do whatever just fits your needs. And one thing and what I'm talking about is, I haven't released the video yet, but when designing our layout, we wanted to do something different from everybody else. And within that was getting in the way of, our pride was getting in the way of doing something different. And we were just kind of all about doing a unique design, and that didn't fit our lifestyles. Our lifestyles fit to do what kind of a lot of other people did, and that makes sense because that we're living kind of a similar life. So, and yes, Mr. Mark, I am talking about floor plans. So our video for the floor.
Have we figured out ours yet?
Oh,
our floor plan.
have
Yeah.
Yes.
As of like 2 days ago. That's the other thing. I'm just excited. Yeah, we did. We're actually super pumped about it. So thank you so much for asking.
Yeah.
We pushed that off so much to the point that Caleb was literally like, okay, babe, we've got to do this right now, because we're starting to work on the windows. As you can see, we don't have any windows.
Yeah, and before we could move forward on the windows, we had to figure out what windows we were keeping and which ones we're deleting. We're deleting just 2 in the back, or 2 on each side.
Yeah.
Just because it's going to be covered by like cabinets and stuff. So yeah, when we finally figured out the floor plan, super excited about that. And yeah, the video will be coming for that.
Yeah.
But definitely appreciate you guys hanging out.
Thank you.
I definitely think we're going to do this again, because this is very natural and very organic, I think, for us.
I kind of loved it.
Yeah. So maybe next time we'll give you more of a heads up. Let us know if you think Friday works best for you guys, or Saturday. Mornings, afternoons, we kind of work whenever we choose to. So our schedules are different than everybody else's, but. All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.